All right, good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, November 30th, the last day of November 2022. It is roughly 9 p.m. Eastern time here, live from New York City, Billionaires Row. I do want to apologize. We are starting the stream off a little bit late. I had a very, very busy day today at work, and it will also be a short stream. We're probably only going to be going for about an hour. I do have to get the train because I got to be right back here very early on tomorrow. Anyway, let's get right into it. It was a very, very eventful day on Wall Street. I do just want to turn everybody's attention to something right now. Obviously, over the past couple of days on the stream, we've been talking about some contrarian trades here as it relates to the Chinese equity market. Obviously, we've been seeing the horrible, horrible riots, the outcries going on in China, but we've been seeing the exact opposite reaction in the price of Chinese equities. So if you look at the HSI or the Hang Seng index right now, China's been trading for about 20 minutes roughly. We are up 2%, but notice where we're rallying against. So if you type in the ticker symbol HSI on TradingView or whichever charting software you prefer, you'll notice we are rallying right to the 200-day moving average, and we're actually coming down and fading throughout the open. So maybe we'll have a couple gap fills there. Turning over to, I would say, the more important U.S. equity markets. Stocks across the board, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ, and the S&P all having fantastic days. We do have to take into consideration that the S&P 500 on big volume today finally closed above its 200-day moving average since March. Okay, so it's the first time since March of 2022 we have now closed back above the 200-day. Now that was off the back of some comments that were made by Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as he spoke today. And the Fed chair said that smaller interest rate hikes could start as soon as December. So for some context here, we are coming off the back of 4 consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes. However, at the December 13th to the 14th meeting, it is a very high possibility that we are going to get a 50 basis point rate hike here. So another very, very good follow-through day today in the market. We are making progress. However, I would like to note some very, very telling comments that Powell gave today. He said that despite some promising developments, we still have a long way to go in restoring price stability. So even though we are going to be getting smaller rate hikes, I think the duration of those rate hikes are probably going to last well into 2022 and possibly 2023 and possibly throughout the entire year going into 2024. But the market seemed to like it. The market seemed pretty giddy about it. Stocks rallying across the board. But the number one thing that we are concerned with, as we've been talking about on the stream, is a little bit too frothy earnings estimates. I believe many of the major investment banks and the investment banking analysts on the street, I believe, have a little bit too optimistic view of earnings. However, we do have to follow the trend. Really quick, everybody take a look at gold. Very, very seldom do we talk about gold here on the stream, but I think it is quite notable to notice that gold is now trading back over 1,700, headed toward 1,800. So that is something to consider. We are trading above the 50-day, could possibly rally to the 200, which would be at 1,832. Without further ado, let's get the stream started. I also want to say that we will be talking about Salesforce tonight. Salesforce reported their quarterly earnings after the bell. We will also be talking about some cybersecurity companies. Okta, ticker symbol OKTA, did report after the bell today on better than expected earnings. They did beat Wall Street expectations on both the top and the bottom line, and they guided higher for profitability in Q4. We'll talk about that. Okta, as you know, sits in the identity and access management space, or the IAM style of cybersecurity, and their main competitor is Ping Identity, based out of Denver, Colorado. So let me put away my laptop, everybody, and we will get started. Now, it is going to be a very windy night, so we're probably going to have a lot of wind noise. And it will also be a shorter than normal stream. We're probably only going to go for about an hour because I do have to get a train. But let's say hey to everybody in the chat. Let's see who we got. I see my friend Joe Driver. Good to see you, Joe. Says, hey, Tom and team, love all the metals markets. Love that. Hey, Cosmo's here. What's up, Cosmo? Samantha R. M. Wall on the run. I see British Gray, Dr. Longus. Always a pleasure to see you guys here in the chat. We are going to be heading down. You know, another thing, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting is today, and I had absolutely no idea about it. So hopefully we'll be able to see some interesting things there. I see my friend Dan is here. Says, hey, what's up? Good to see you, Dan. Fairway says it's the wind is definitely blowing tonight. Indeed it is. Steph UH is here. Samantha R. Dusty Cole. Vivian, my good friend, good to see you. Yeah, I was watching that too. Anybody see any? Welcome.
Lobby.
Wow, they put a Christmas tree in the lobby. That looks nice, not bad. Dan Zhang says, Tom, can you believe Messi missed the penalty kick? I saw the highlights. I didn't see the entire game because I was just so busy today. But I saw the highlights, and I mean, at least they won the game. At least they got the job done. I think that's what matters, right? Everybody, we are outside the one and only 157 building. Now, did you guys hear this crazy, bizarro story that happened? Now, allegedly, there was some weird white substance in one of the hotel rooms here. And one of the housekeepers, unfortunately, got very sick. And they called the FDNY. Big shout out to the FDNY. And they searched the room, and allegedly there was potential explosive material in the building, and I think they had to evacuate the entire 157 right here at the Park Hyatt. Turns out it was just some homeless guy or some random guy that found a key card on the street, went up to the room, and he probably had some good fun. Now, if they're saying it's a white substance, I mean, we can kind of put two and two together of what that may be, right? I don't think I need to elaborate anymore. But yeah, supposedly they closed down, well, for a short period of time, right? Not a long time, but they did close down, or have to evacuate, I should say, 157. Yeah, dances. Yeah, I think it's probably that. I think you're right. SME Media, good to see you. Welcome. Now, I think it's probably going to be ridiculously packed near Rockefeller Center, obviously, for the tree lighting. But I think we're going to try to make our way down there anyway. We'll see if the crowds are too big, and then we will try to course correct as we go. But, guys, big news. Did you hear? Salesforce reported earnings. Now, it's not so much I'm interested in how they reported, but obviously we are. But the co-CEO of Salesforce, Bret Taylor, is stepping down. That is correct. So obviously Salesforce, one of the most successful enterprise software companies to do it. They were a pioneer in the SaaS space, so software as a service. They are one of the largest, if not the largest, CRM provider, which is a customer relationship management software. Founder is Mark Benioff. But Mark Benioff is the co-CEO, and so is Bret Taylor. But we have some breaking news coming out of the quarterly earnings report on the conference call. They announced that Bret Taylor will be stepping down. So his last day of duty as Chief Executive Officer, or I should say Co-Chief Executive Officer, is going to be January 31st of 2023, in which case Mark Benioff will be taking over as the sole CEO. Stock's down about 6% after hours on the news. However, they did beat our analysts' expectations, beating on both the top and the bottom line. But I think markets apparently weren't liking the shakeup in management there. Hey, FredX, good to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're well. Michael Joseph's CRM down big after hours because it's taking them longer to close deals. Now, Michael Joseph, if you remember from our live stream, I think it may have been yesterday or the day before, I actually gave you guys some feedback into what I'm seeing as it relates to my deal flow, right? As you know, or many of you know, I am in tech sales, software sales myself, selling into the Fortune 500, Global 2000. And I could tell you with exact certainty that deal flow, or I should say sales cycle, is elongating for obvious reasons. Also, I've been noticing a lot of my clients that have had plans to do a full rip and replace and revamp of their critical IT infrastructure. They're actually starting to hold off. You know, I was on a couple calls today that were pretty much surefire deals to close for Q4. But unfortunately, you know, after talking with the CTO, I won't say which company, but due to the uncertainty of the environment, they're choosing to hold off on this project, which is really disappointing, but I think you're seeing that across the board in enterprise software. Now, if we want to piggyback off of that, look what they said on Okta's earnings report today. Now, the main problem with Okta, right, or maybe I shouldn't be as aggressive and say problem, but they've been through a lot of M&A activity. And M&A can be very good to grow the business, but the biggest challenge after a big M&A is the culture of the sales orgs collaborating. And everybody needs to be on the same page, and that can take some time, right? And we heard from the CEO of Okta today, obviously, and they seem to be working out a lot of that post-merger drama I should say. And the market actually responded rather favorably. They did beat on both the top and the bottom line. They had negative EPS. However, notice the forecasts, right? So as opposed to their Q4 forecast of negative EPS by about 11 cents, they're actually forecasting positive EPS growth of about 9 cents. So interesting. Anybody in the chat sort of seeing the same thing? Maybe if you're in tech sales, maybe you're in banking, or maybe you own a small business, or maybe you're even on the IT side. And are you guys seeing cuts to the organization, rollbacks in spending? It seems like everybody that I talk to now is on the fritz, and I think for good reason, maybe. Hey, the Mighty Bull is here. Good to see you. Welcome. Michael Joseph says, yep, a lot of firms reporting that deal closing is taking longer. 2023/Q1 will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, and for me, to give you guys an idea, I tend to sell, my main target market is major hospitals, large home healthcare organizations, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities. I do deal with the payer side, right? So in healthcare, we call it payer provider. I am mainly focused on the provider side. However, I do have some deals working with some major payers. And even on the provider side, I will say this. Hospitals tend to be taking a bit more of a hit than home healthcare agencies because home healthcare, I wouldn't say is recession proof, but it's always going to be a necessity, right? Healthcare or home healthcare is very fast growing. And the number one fastest job growth in America is a home health aide. So as home healthcare expands, thankfully that is good for my business, but I've been seeing deal flow stall a lot. Hey, James V is here. Says, hey Tom, just checking in. Good to see you, James. Thanks for joining. I see my friend Jordan from Canada. Hey, Jordan. Vivian's is downsizing a lot too at firms. Yeah, unfortunately. Hey, Mr. W says, for sure we slowed down ordering of equipment. So Mr. W, which, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm assuming maybe you're in manufacturing. Maybe you could provide us a little bit more clarity there. Hey, John Martin is back. What's up, John? This is my current business model is lose money and business is good. This is John. Good to see you, John. Hey, Wendy's here. Good to see you, Wendy. Long time no see. I trust you had a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully you had a good holiday so far as we push on into December. John Martin says, I'm in the business of losing money right now. Wow, Joe Driver says, Tom and team, sad news. Christina from Fleetwood Mac. That's horrible. I'm not sure who that is, but that's horrible. Dan says, Tom, private healthcare facilities are extremely more efficient than public government-owned healthcare facilities. I would agree. Steph UH says, do they tend to pay home health RNs well? That's a very good question, and I think I want to break it down just a little bit more. Look at that guy. We'll wait till he crosses. I'll take you guys over here so we get away from the noise. So there's two very distinct job titles, I would say, that sometimes get confused. Now, if you're talking about a home health aide, right, or an HHA, these tend to be entry-level jobs that roughly pay anywhere from $15 to maybe $20 an hour. And that is why there's a big problem in the home healthcare industry of very high employee churn. So one of the things that we try to do and solve for as an industry is the number one goal, and I think it's pretty obvious, right? As a home healthcare provider, is to provide patients with the most pristine patient experience possible. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that our elderly, and maybe people that just need help, are aging in place at home with dignity and getting the care they need, right? That is the goal. But one of the main challenges in home healthcare has been extremely, extremely high employee churn rates. So if you have very, very high employee churn rates, well, that is going to negatively impact patient experience, which is not good, right? Because generally speaking, the patient wants an aide they're familiar with, right? Maybe somebody that they've built a relationship with on a professional or personal level, that they know which caregiver is coming to provide them with care, right? I think that's very important. And one of the ways we increase employee retention at these agencies is to reduce a lot of the friction, right? One of the ways we do that is through technology, by providing aides with better benefits, by EVV, electronic visit verification, so they don't have to physically clock in and out with physical pieces of paper and then go all the way to the office to turn in their timesheets. So home health aides, they get paid about $15 to $20 an hour. But if you want to talk about a visiting RN, right, or a visiting nurse, or a traveling nurse, these can actually be very, very lucrative opportunities if you are an RN and you are a traveling nurse. I've heard from traveling nurses that make upwards of $250,000 to $300,000 per year, depending on the type of traveling nurse, right? So there's a very, very big difference between a home health aide and an actual registered nurse or RN. But yeah, I mean, that's been a big problem in the home healthcare industry. But you know, we're trying to work on solutions to solve for that. Hey, Steph UH says, Tom, that makes sense. My dad had long-term aides and nurses. It was years ago. Hey, Paul Medes is here. Welcome. Good to see you. Dr. Longus. Tomorrow Today is here. Good to see you. Now we are going to cross 57th Street. This is the IBM building. And if you look all the way in the distance, you'll actually be able to see One Vanderbilt. Google is here. Says, hope everybody is having a great evening. Good to see you, Google. Gravy says, what time is the tree lighting? I think it's going on right now. The tree lighting ceremony, I think, is from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to try to make our way there, but I have a feeling that as we progress down towards Rockefeller Center, it's just going to be so packed that we may not be able to get a good shot of it. Hey, Martin Skrelly is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Good to see you, Martin. Trust you're having a good day. Good night. Andreas A says, hello, Tom. Good to see Andreas A. Very windy night in Manhattan. John Martin says, did you know that IBM was the inspiration around HAL in 2001 Space Odyssey? I did not. Now, IBM's an interesting one because over the last couple of years, a lot of the revenue that IBM generates is mainly through consulting services. You know, I've heard some bad things about IBM Watson. I do believe that their healthcare unit, so IBM Watson Healthcare, was sold off to PwC. However, if you look where the stock is trading now, it's near 52-week highs. And it has a dividend yield, I think, of 4.5%. Man, it's cold out tonight too. I'm shivering. I was in the office all day. I'm definitely not used to being out here. Giovanni says you got my wife's attention with the RN salaries. She is in the home health aid field. Yeah, so I would do some research into visiting nurses. Now, it's interesting because I think we actually have a viewer that is a visiting or a traveling nurse, I should say, traveling nurse. And one stream, I forget, it was a long time ago. It may have been like 3 to 4 months ago, but she was providing some context and clarity and even some tips on how to get involved in that space. And so yeah, John says IBM is also working on AI technology. You know, IBM has, I always get recommended a lot of business development positions. You could see how they're directing traffic away from Rockefeller Center. So as we get closer here, so this is 55th Street. As we get closer to the 40s, I should say, we may actually not even be able to see it. We'll see. I'm sure the crowds are ridiculous. If the police officers are already directing traffic away, we'll see. Now, if anybody remembers from last night's stream, or I would even say maybe 2 to 3 streams ago, we were talking about potential contrarian points of view. Check out the horse here. And if you notice, it actually seems like Ethereum and Bitcoin were leading, and they were up yesterday and the day before, while the major equity indices were down. But now it seems like the major stock indices have followed through and were up very materially on the day. I think this, oh, check out Snoopy all the way in the back. I think this was one of the best days in the market as it relates to volume. Hold on one second. This is the Jeffries building here. Dan says, I've been investing for the past year in Africa. Wonderful countries with a lot of growth potential. Anybody else? So Dan, how are you getting exposure to Africa? Now, I'm very, very bullish. If you want to talk about emerging markets, I'm very, very impressed. And I actually shared an article on my Twitter. If you guys want to check it out, at Walks Wall Street on Twitter. Barron's did a very interesting write-up on the growth and the progress that India has made. India is turning into a very, very fast-growing and vibrant economy. Really, any major country that has a vibrant, growing middle class and also a younger demographic, I think is going to present some really good investment opportunities. Now, investors have always been circling around Africa and countries within Africa specifically due to that specific demographic, right? I think, and don't quote me on this, maybe we could have some real-time, maybe someone could Google this in real time. I think if you look at Africa and countries within Africa, I think it tends to have the youngest demographic. Let me see if we can go this way. I think it's maybe closed off. We'll go down one more, because I think they're just going to turn us away. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked tonight. I just want to see which is going to be the best route. But yeah, and this is why we've been seeing some big problems in Japan, right? As we talked about monetary policy. Why do we think the Bank of Japan is diverging away from major central banks, right? We talk about the Federal Reserve, which is the major central bank here in the United States. But if you look at the ECB, if you look at the Bank of England, and pretty much all major central banks, we are in a very, very aggressive quantitative tightening cycle, but Bank of Japan is still easing. And I think it's because they need to almost, because they have a slowing and very aging population. Interesting. Dr. Longus is my brother, used to own a ton of IBM stock in the 80s. You know, with the dividend yield, it's probably grown into a substantial amount. I would say Asia in general, right, is poses some potentially very lucrative investment opportunities. Now, over the course of the last, I don't know, I'd say 3 to 4 months, they've been parading a lot of portfolio managers on the mainstream financial channels talking about how China is quote unquote uninvestable in some ways. And you guys know my feelings in and around investing in China. But as we've been on this sort of overall topic this week about thinking contrarian, that's the exact kind of talk that you hear near market bottoms. Now, maybe this is a short-term bottom in China. Maybe it is a long-term bottom, but I think it's undeniable that the market has rallied, and I think we're actually trading up 2 percentage points right now. I think China just opened 30 minutes ago. If you look at the Hang Seng Index, I say we at least rally to the 200-day. All right, so you could see this is East 52nd Street. This is outside of the Cartier building. I don't think we're going to be able to get close to the tree lighting ceremony. I think it's just too many people. And I think the closer we get, we may run into some buffering issues, but we'll see. Hey, Ben Robinson is here. What's up, man? So Southeast Asia's digital economy is on course towards 600 billion to 1 trillion by 2030. Very promising future. Yeah. You know, and Ben, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I'm not sure how everybody feels about this. But there's this big talk of the digital dollar, right? And everybody's afraid of the digital dollar because you think you're going to get tracked and the government could shut you down and all that stuff. But I don't know, a little bit of news flash for you. The government can do that to you now already. Okay, just being very blunt. And if you think about the physical, I would say, cash that is in existence, the vast majority of money, right, of US dollars is just digits on a screen. It doesn't exist, right? It's not like you could actually hold in physical cash, coins, all of the dollars outstanding. It's not real. It's digital digits on a screen. And think about all of your personal transactions. You probably pay your mortgage online, right? You probably don't pay it in cash. You probably pay your rent through some sort of a portal digital payments. I mean, I think I pay 99% of all my bills, all of the products and services that I buy each and every day is digital. So we are already operating with a digital dollar. So I think you tend to see this abrasiveness towards any new technology. But I really don't think it's a big deal. And I would even argue that we probably already have a digital dollar. It is digital already. Hey, Michelle K is here. Says, good evening, Tom and everybody. What's up? Good to see you, Michelle. Welcome. Millie says, today was a decent day for U.S. markets. Indeed, it was. This is the New York City Mobile Data Center, emergency management. I've never seen this before. Mobile Data Center, interesting. Never seen it before. Hey, Austin City Limits, what's up, my friend? Always good to see you. Van is here, welcome. Yeah, Bree Grams is like, all you kids probably haven't even written a check. The only time I've written a check. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. I had a really, really old school landlord that would only take check. And I didn't even know how to go about getting one. I had to Google it and order them online. I had, at the time, Charles Schwab Bank. Yeah, I have a ton of checks just sitting in my house because I only needed 12 of them, right? Hey, Jed says, any ideas how to make friends in New York since I'm moving there in January? Hey, that's awesome, man. Well, welcome. I think you're going to have a great time. I think you're going to be wildly successful here. I would say the biggest thing is probably through your work, right? The vast majority of my friends and acquaintances that I've met is through work and business opportunities. You know, some of my clients, my best clients, I consider my best friends, my very good friends here. So I think I would throw myself into your work, get very, very serious about it. And through that, you're going to meet a lot of very interesting people. And I think you'll do great. Yeah, M Wall on the run is like, that's hysterical. Yeah, I mean, I don't... I want to go... says, I still have the same box of checks from the account I opened in 1999. Yeah, I mean, everything is online banking, right? Now, I even think online banking is more secure than writing digital checks because there's more of a... This is going to sound like, I guess, an oxymoron, but like a paper trail. Man, the wind is just brutal tonight. Really, really picking up. We are crossing the Neuberger Berman building, as well as Charles Schwab, UBS, a lot of the big investment banks and asset managers are here. If you make a right and you go up 2 more blocks, you'll run into Alliance Bernstein, as well as Fortress Investments, which is a large hedge fund that Michael Novogratz used to work at back in the day before he spun off to do his own venture, which is now Galaxy Digital Assets. He actually headhunts a lot of junior bankers to work in the cryptocurrency space. Hey, 2 Explores videos as I use checks, credit, PayPal often in the same week. Mustafa, good to see you. Ibrahim Azam says, I have to pay in cash, unfortunately. I am a minor and I don't have a bank account or a PayPal account. Interesting. Noodle says, hey Tom, what's the topic for tonight? We're sort of just hanging out tonight, but I think just the main 2 things tonight is Salesforce reported earnings, also Okta reported earnings, which is a major cybersecurity company. I'm not sure if I could walk down here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not a big fan of crowds. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. Not a big crowds type of guy. But look, Okta has been getting hammered, been getting pounded, as well as a lot of the very high, frothy, high beta, not profitable tech stocks. But Okta actually rallied after hours. I think it's up, 3%, maybe 4% after hours, off the back of better than expected forward guidance, right? And I think this all has to relate and goes back to what we've been talking about on the stream, right? We are in a completely different monetary environment. We are coming off 14 years, a little bit longer than 14 years of unprecedented quantitative easing and free money and cheap money. And that is no longer, that's over. And I think we have to come to terms with that. And these assets are gonna need to get repriced. And they are getting repriced. They are. A lot of these very frothy speculative growth stocks have been getting hammered, and rightfully so, right? And the rotation has gone back into value. That's why we see the Dow Jones Industrial Average leading the S&P and the S&P leading the NASDAQ. Hey, Vivian says, I remember physically edifying client signatures for checks when I was 19, worked in a bank. Now is bulk processing up to a specific threshold the bank may hold. Wow, that's insane, Vivian. Odina is here, good to see you. Cynthia Beal, trust you well. Yeah, Edward Adams says, you were very brave, Tom. Fell out of favor with crowds as I got older. Yeah, I just don't really like being shoulder to shoulder with people. Here we are outside of the Nürburgring Berman. Big asset manager here. Yeah, so Michael Joseph, I saw that too. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, the New York Times and Andrew Ross Sorkin, which I happen to like a lot, by the way. I love as you guys know, I really like his journalistic flair, so to speak, if that makes sense. Anyway, so he was interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried today, and I think he asked a lot of hardball questions, but as you know, I wasn't too happy overall, just the overall choice of deciding to have him be interviewed in the first place, right? Especially due to all of the crazy fraud allegations that have been circling around. I think it was probably a little bit of a bad look, but you have to do things to drive ratings, which I get, but I just think it was a little bit out of a bad taste and out of character. Where I thought it was a little strange, did anybody see the conclusion of the interview that Sam Bankman-Fried gave? At the conclusion of the interview, I get it, you have to sort of give a round of applause for the guest, but it just seemed a little bit in bad taste to say, hey, thanks for being here, thanks for coming, and give him a round of applause after he just fleeced investors worth of billions. So it was almost kind of dystopian in nature, a little bit. Michael Joseph says, I saw the whole thing. So what was your take on it? I want to know your take, because I think you know mine. Hey, ATC, what's up? Good to see you. Sunshine after rain. Yeah, Michael Joseph says the best line was, you sound like a bunch of kids on Adderall having sleepovers in the Bahamas. Yeah. Nelson Sanchez Campos, thank you so much for the $2 donation. You're very, very kind. Silver Smith says, Walks from Wall Street, you seem to ignore my silver and gold comments. Why does most of Wall Street not recommend this? So I'm not ignoring the comments. The comments are just cruising by so fast. So if I don't see your comment, just respectfully just type it again and I'll get to it. I think we have about like 600 people in the chat, so comments are going by. But look, I'll give you my 2 cents on gold and silver. Now, I don't own any. I don't have any exposure to gold. I have a very, very small amount of physical silver. But here's the thing. I think it has to do with where you are in your investment life cycle. So for example, I'm in my 20s, so I don't think it's appropriate for me to be having a very, very high allocation to gold because it is an asset that really doesn't produce anything, right? I would much rather buy companies that produce cash flows and spit off dividends so I can reinvest them over long periods of time, right? So let's say if you're 20 years old and you have a basic retirement account and you're dollar cost averaging into the overall broader market, such as the S&P 500, generally speaking, right, corporate earnings in America tend to go up over time. Now, you could have earnings recessions, which I think we're actually about to go into one in 2023. But over time, corporations in America tend to increase their corporate earnings and distribute those earnings onto shareholders. So as somebody who's in my 20s, right, I want to up my equity allocation because I have 2 things in my favor. Number one, I have my youth and I have time on my hands. And my bet is on America. I think this is the greatest country on earth. I think entrepreneurs speaking want to come here to start businesses. Those businesses are going to need to raise money. They're going to need to go public. And the good thing is we are able to take part in that capitalistic venture by buying shares in these businesses, right? And taking part in that. So maybe if I was a little bit older, right, and I'm looking for wealth preservation, right, let's say if I'm, headed towards retirement, maybe I roll over some of my portfolio into bonds and have a higher allocation to gold. I think that's great, right? But again, I think it's just all about where you are and your personal preference. But in my 20s, I don't really want to load the boat in a precious metal that is not going to spit off free cash flow. Now, if we break all-time record highs into new high territory in gold, I will be getting involved in that, and I'll probably be going long. But if you've noticed, if you look at a monthly chart of gold, right, gold tends to have these very, very abrupt, meteoric rises and very, very long, drawn-out corrections in both the form of price and time, right? And right now, it seems we are forming a decades-long cup with handle. And we tried to break out earlier in the year. We actually broke down. But gold's over 1,700 again, right? On its way to 1,800. So we'll see. I don't know. Thoughts about that in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you have allocation to precious metals? What do you think? Silversmith says walks from Wall Street. It has nothing to do with your age. Gold was $800 just before 9/11. Now it's 1775. Okay, yeah. I mean, I respect your opinion. I know, SME Media says, I bet there will be a wave of people leaving the area right after the tree lighting. Definitely love to argue with you. I'm not anti-gold at all, right? I'm not anti-gold at all. But I just don't have an allocation to it. That could change, right? If we crack all-time record highs, I'll get involved. I have nothing wrong with gold. CR says US gold coins minted in 1932 and before have shown extraordinary gains recently. Matt M says, any opinion on gold and silver stocks? the thing is, I think you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, right? And when you buy the gold mining stocks and the silver mining stocks, it's very dependent on, their profitability is very dependent on the price of gold. And I'm not a commodities expert, right? I mean, my wheelhouse is enterprise software. So I know where I play favorably in, and I know where I tend not to. Look, I mean, if you want, I will recommend a really, really good channel. If you watch Peter Schiff's podcast, The Peter Schiff Show, he's a gold bug, right? Schiff Gold, he has his own gold dealer. I listen to Peter Schiff's show all the time, but I don't cover those particular stocks. There could be some good trade ideas there, especially if the Fed is going to start easing again. I would say that would be a pretty interesting catalyst for gold, is if the Federal Reserve starts printing money again, right? That is the whole purpose of gold. Relatively fixed supply, scarcity. It's a very good hedge for a fiat currency system that we're in. Hey, Gracie says, I love New York City. Good to see you, Gracie. Welcome. Silversmith says silver will go from today $21 to over $100 real soon. I hope so. I hope so. C. Lavender says, Tom, I'm definitely not very well versed in the market. What I do learn from you is how to talk to people. Thank you so much, C. I appreciate that so much. Now, here's another interesting thing about the precious metals market. The investment banks, it's a very, very manipulated market, and they do this by the futures market, or the paper. We call it the paper, right, on the street. So the precious metals market is heavily, I would say, suppressed. If you want to talk about a bubble in, the stock market and other assets, you could argue there's an inverse bubble here in the price of precious metals, right? But it is very manipulated through the paper, right? So the derivative, SLV. And many of these banks have actually had to pay hundreds, millions of dollars worth of fines for manipulating the metals market. I mean, just do a quick Google search. I think BNP Paribas recently had to pay a massive fine for manipulating the price of gold and silver. That is the French investment bank. So, yeah, I mean, it's very possible that it could be getting suppressed, the price of precious metals. We'll go this way. We'll see if we can get a glimpse of it from the 5th Avenue level. Hey, 9 to 5 is here. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good day so far. Happy Wednesday. Teresa Diaz, good to see you. Dan Zanks, Tom, I think GDX and gold mining stocks is still outperforming the S&P on the year. You're probably right on that. Yeah, you're probably right. Hey, Tug Carter is here. Says, hey, Tom, I'll be in New York City next week. I'm excited. Hey, man, that's going to be awesome. I think you're going to have a good time. Hopefully you'll be able to hit all the spots we talk about, such as, Take 31. I was going to go there today, but couldn't. Good to see you, Tug Carter. Jake Lee says, love the stream through New York City. Jake, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Yeah, Gary Carpenter says today is the last day of the month. Incredible. Can't believe it's already December. It's going to be 2023 too. That's just, that's wild. That's just really, really wild. Steph UH is our gold and silver jewelry worth investing in. I mean, look, I think it really just depends on you personally. I'm not a big... It's funny we're talking about silver and gold real quick because this is the Diamond District. This is where, this is it. If you want to talk about gold and silver and jewelry, this is the place to do it. This is the Diamond District. We are walking up here. You got the bullion exchange right in front of us. Here's some silver coins right here. Right here at the Diamond District. Love the bull there. I'm not sure if the Mighty Bull is in the chat, but there's one Mighty Bull right here. And I'm just not a big jewelry guy, right? Again, I always try to revert back to, if there's something I'm just not an expert in, and I don't really know anything about watches. Now, I have friends who, you know, they'll spend their entire bonus on a Rolex watch. I'm just not into that stuff. Some people prefer it. I just don't see it. I just don't understand it. Yeah, C is like, did you end up here on purpose or coincidentally? This was totally by coincidence. But yeah, we're walking through the Diamond District right now. Now, a quick question for some people who may be more familiar and have a lot of experience in the jewelry market. Now, I was reading an interesting article. Now, again, I'm not sure the level of credibility, right? Because I just don't know about it. But supposedly, fake diamonds or being able to create synthetics is really having a big impact on the diamond market, because technically now you can make a diamond, right? And it's very, very hard to tell the difference between a synthetic or I guess quote unquote man-made and the latter. Has anybody else heard that? So you know you're in the Diamond District when you see these two major light posts here. Now, if you look close enough, you'll actually be able to tell it's a physical diamond. Well, not a real one, but in the shape of a diamond here. Hey, Vivian says, Tom, my father was a jeweler and a watchmaker. Then my brother took over. I worked in sales. Love that. Where at, Vivian? In right here in New York City at the Diamond District? Oh, Iris Lewis says, you can tell. Matt M says, yes, the market has flipped. Liz says, Tom, I was just at K Jewelers and the synthetics are shinier and more sparkly. I'm going to have to do some more research into that because I didn't even know if that was possible up until a couple of days ago. Silversmith says, walks on Wall Street, the COMEX is almost drained of silver bars. Has never happened before. Something is about to break. So Silversmith. Silversmith, another thing that I've noticed, and I'm not sure you've noticed this as well. I'm sure you have. Seems like you are very, very passionate about metals. In November, I think we set a record for central banks purchasing gold. Did anybody see that? So November set a record for central banks purchasing gold. I think that's a very big tell. Hey, Fabio is here. Good to see you, Fabio. Welcome. Fizz Monsters says you need special equipment that's around AK to detect is the only real way. Audra says, yes, I heard about that. The man-made ones are game-changing the diamond, or changing the diamond game. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research in that. I don't understand it. Now, maybe it would be beneficial to do some impromptu market research one night or one day. Maybe come to the Diamond District and talk to people who know about it. I'm literally, you know, I'm honest with you guys. I'm ignorant when it comes with, you know, jewelry and gold and silver. If you guys look all the way in the distance, you can see the Saks Fifth Avenue, the light display here. John's is his Rolex a hedge. I think let's talk about that for a minute, because I've been noticing something. There was a very good article in Bloomberg. Really quick, if you look here, look at all the people waiting to get into the tree lighting here at Rockefeller Center. I'm not sure we can stand in that line tonight, but we'll see. Now, during the bull market of 2000 and 2021, the market for luxury watches absolutely exploded, even to the point where there was extreme wait lists for very, very high-end watches. But if you look at the secondary market right now, it is actually flooded with people trying to sell their expensive luxury watches. And I think that is very telling for the times. So I think those prices of luxury watches are actually down quite materially. Hey, what's next is Tom. China and Russia are the biggest buyers of gold. I did see that. Twitch ASMR says Rolex with papers and box. Original, not blinged out. Alright, I'll show you guys the line once again. Tons of people coming up here. EDT's European Central Bank says Bitcoin will be worthless. They are also very worried with what Elon is doing with Twitter. Yeah, I don't think they have any credibility, the ECB. Speaking of Twitter, did you guys see that Elon Musk was actually getting a tour of Apple's headquarters from Tim Cook? Oh, I think some big performers coming through. But there were was going to delist Twitter from the app. I guess to sort of mend those wounds, Elon Musk made an impromptu visit to Apple's headquarters. Hopefully that's going well and they can sort of mend that relationship. Yeah, Matt Ems is, Tim said he is not removing the app now. Yeah, sometimes you just, that's how you close deals and settle your differences. So, I mean, Matt, that's good news, right? It's good news. Yeah, Dr. Longas, if you go to my Twitter account, I posted a video of him getting a tour of the Apple headquarters, which is good news. I mean, well, we're trying to make a push uptown, but unfortunately, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it. I'm going to try to give you guys a bird's eye view. I'm going to lift the camera as high as I can, and then tell me in the chat if you think it's possible to get all the way down there. Let me know. What do you guys see? Do you think it's possible, or is it a gridlock up there? Is it too crazy? Oh, gridlock to the max. Yeah, I think it may be too many people. We'll see. I'll try one more thing for you guys, all right? Whoa, yeah, let's get out of here. I don't know if I could deal with that crowd. So we're gonna cross Fifth Avenue, and we may be able to see a better view from Madison if we try to make our way around that way. Just because I don't know if I could stand toe-to-toe with all these people corralled in here like cattle. We'll see if we can go to Madison Avenue and then try to see it all the way from the other side. We'll see. We'll try. This is the H&M here. Hey, Jake Lease. Yeah, not worth it tonight. Wait a few days for the initial rush. There's a lot of people. Big turnout. It's good that it stopped raining. It was raining like crazy all day today. Hey, Liz is here. It's too many people. It's good news and it's bad news, right? I think the good news is that the city is really recovering from the pandemic. I mean, all of those people who said, New York is dead, it's over. I mean, look at all these people. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's good news to see a lot of people back out. Now, I mentioned this briefly at the beginning of the live stream, but we did hear from Salesforce today as they reported earnings. Look at the horses here. And the co-CEO of Salesforce is actually stepping down. So he's actually stepping down. And Mark Benioff will be the sole CEO starting January 23rd of 2023. Now, they did beat analyst expectations on both the top and the bottom line, but stock's down 6%. I know, Ben Robinson is like, supposedly the horses are the most expensive form of travel. They are. I can only imagine. It's probably like $100 so for like 4 blocks. All right, let's make our way down to the New York Public Library. I think we may have seen enough. I don't like how the NYPD corrals everybody into these very small sections here. I think we're gonna cross. Matt M says, Tom, any comments about the Fed chair's briefing today? I do have a couple comments. I'm interested in what you guys have to say or think. Now, I don't think it was really anything new, right? Do we think we got any new data coming out of the Federal Reserve? I really don't think so. Maybe the only thing was Fed Chair Jerome Powell assured the market that we are on the right track to slowing the pace of interest rate hikes as it relates to, a 50 basis point rate hike as opposed to a 75 basis point rate hike. But if you noticed, as he was talking through the speech, he said the job is not over and we are going to continue the job until it's done, right? So in my eyes, it doesn't necessarily matter that the next interest rate hike will be 50 basis points or 75. I think what matters is the duration in which interest rates will stay elevated. But the markets seem to like it. I think more along the lines, there was a lot of people caught off sides here. But we'll see. We have to follow the trend of the market. But let me try to make a move around these people. We'll cross. Silversmith says walks from Wall Street. A pivot means the dollar will drop big time. Yeah, if they start cutting rates, right? I guess if they start cutting rates. So Silversmith makes a good point, because as we've been talking about on the channel, what has really fueled these two previous bear market rallies? Well, it's been a couple things, and it's been dollar weakness. And if you pull up a chart of the Dixie, the DXY, which is a indice that tracks the relative strength of the dollar versus a basket of foreign currencies, you'll notice the drop in the Dixie has aligned with this equity market rally. Also, we have been seeing this 10-year U.S. Treasury yield come down, which has also been stock market positive. So, I mean, look, if we have this dollar wrecking ball come out again, and we start to push up towards 110, 112, well, then I think that's going to spell bad news for the market. But, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've had 2 follow-through days now. Today is probably going to count as another one because of volume. And I think we need to follow the trend. Look at this. This is a chocolate place here. S. Flores has pivoted 7%. Inflation is a joke. Vivian says higher rates on certain banking products. Michael Joseph is from the Beige Book. Released today, New York economic activity declined modestly. And we also saw that in the Chicago PMIs. I think we got the Chicago PMIs out today. And that declined or decelerated yet again. Now, tomorrow, everybody, is December 1st, which means it is the first business day of the month. Which means, yes, you guessed it, we will be hearing from the Institute for Supply Management as they release their Purchasing Managers Index, or the PMIs. It's going to be interesting to watch the trajectory of this. You know, one of the things that we've been reviewing is how to look at leading indicators in hopes to forecast economic growth or GDP growth and corporate earnings and hopefully stock market direction. And this overall bear market topped with the PMIs rolling over, right? I think the highest PMI print we had was 68, maybe 65, 68. And we've now decelerated and declined all the way down into the low 50s. Now, a reading above 50 on the PMIs signals expansion in the manufacturing sector of the economy, but a reading below 50 signals contraction. However, as we know, we really like to focus on the trajectory of those PMI numbers as opposed to the physical number itself, right? I think the trajectory, are we coming out of a recessionary environment? Are we seeing improvement? So we'll do a deep dive there. Hey, Twitch ASMR, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a good night too. Hey, Patties, it's Chow Tom from Milan. Thanks so much. I know, SME Media is like tomorrow is December. I can't believe that either. It's this year is flying by, my friends. Hey, Abdullah is here. I see Mohammed. Good to see you, Abdullah. Good to see you, Mohammed. Harry Connor is like China's PMI is 48. Now, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami. And if you like the different topics we talk about each night, if you scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, you will be signed up to receive our free investing newsletter where we talk about the US equity markets, emerging markets, the housing market, and the like. So please join us over there by scanning the QR code and punch in your email. We'll see you over there. But now I'm going to show you guys a beautiful view of the Chrysler building as well as One Vanderbilt. The wind is really starting to pick up here. Freezer is here. Says, hey, good to see you, Freezer. DN says, thank goodness this year is almost over. Hey, Greg Schultz, I've heard you can get a feel for the economy based on the number of buildings with scaffolding around them. Hilarious. Well, in that case, New York City should always be booming. Sally is here. It's a beautiful view. Tom LL is here. George says, do you have any pets? I do. What about you, George? You got any pets? Now, I have a beagle. And my sister has a husky dog. Two pretty solid dogs there, I would say. Hey, Kel Sonic says, hey Tom, love New York City at Christmas. Good to see you, Kel. Hey, John the Landlord's is wonderful city. All right, check this out. If you look all the way in the distance, you'll see the beautiful Grand Central Station. But check out just how tall One Vanderbilt looks here. Fred X's acceptable canines. Yeah, beagles are awesome dogs, man. Beagles are really, really awesome. Kel says I have a golden retriever. They are top dogs, man. Love that. John says, so luxury watches, not the best hedge. What is a better investment, the Dow, S&P? No, I don't know. I can't really advise on what's better or what's best. Alls I know is that over time, generally speaking, corporate profits in America tend to go up. Now, I will say this, and I think we need to be very, very aware of this. The vast majority of stocks do not go up. They go to zero, actually. And the reason why indexing has been or become or passive investing or buying an index fund like the S&P 500, the Dow, and the NASDAQ has become so favorable is because they're always rebalanced and reweighted, and companies are removed and companies are added based upon profitability. So if you buy a stock, individual stocks, you really have to make sure you manage that position, right? I always like to give the example of like General Electric. General Electric used to be the Apple of its time, used to be, the alphabet of its time, right? Oftentimes it was like, wow, you have a job at GE and a pension. Oh my gosh, you're set for life. You're going to be fantastic. Now GE is in shambles. Now, I do have to give credit to Larry Culp. I do not think it's fair to sort of really beat up on GE because I think Larry Culp is doing his best. I really, really have a lot of respect for him as a CEO. Hey, B. Smith says aloha from Hawaii. What's up, B. Smith? Abdullah says 10. Hey, Greg Schultz, that's awesome. Says Tom, we got a rescue dog, wouldn't change him for anything. I respect that a lot. I mean, there's so many dogs in shelters. So if you are going to get a pet, if you are going to get a dog, I would get it from a shelter. I think, there's plenty of dogs that are in need of a home that are in a shelter, right, that are looking for a home. I don't think there's any need to go get one from a breeder. Hey, Roxanne Robles says, hey there in New York. What's up, Roxanne? Good to see you. Now, there is a very famous saying on Wall Street that if you want a friend or if you need a friend, you got to get a dog. And that's why I have two. Matthew M says, always check with the shelters first. Agreed. Yeah, Michael Joseph says, GE stopped innovating. They have the same business they did 20 years ago. I also think, if anybody's ever read the book by Peter Lynch. Now, Peter Lynch is the former mutual fund manager at the Fidelity Magellan Fund. Arguably one of the greatest investors of all time, Peter Lynch. He says something in his book, One Up on Wall Street, that you really have to be aware and be cognizant of companies that suffer from corporate bloat. And I think we've been seeing a lot of this stuff play out at a lot of these tech stocks, right? Like Meta. Usually when you see companies spending so much money on new office space, extravagant nonsense, sort of like you see on all these very cringeworthy TikToks of, day in the life of, a PM at Meta and everybody's just drinking lattes all day, right? You really, really got to be wary of that. Now, I would say another thing that's a big liability for GE is the pension, right? Back in the day, everybody was going after these jobs to be lifers, right? And now we know that a lot of these pension systems are not sustainable. What do you guys think of this tree here? Hold on, I got to check if it's real. Oh, it's not real. -2 points. But it still looks nice. Here, let me give you guys a better shot so we could give it a rating. Hey, my friend Evan Weeks is here. What's up, Evan? Evan says, Tom, dude, I can attest to middle management bloat at tech companies, seen it at Microsoft, among other companies I've worked with. Yeah, I mean, Evan, it's kind of a crazy thing, right? Because there's a saying that it's all funny when you're making money, right? When you're firing on all cylinders. Here's something else I would like to say, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree, right? Because I never want to force my opinions on anybody else. I think that's the value of the chat room we have here. We all have differing opinions. But being in enterprise software sales myself, or tech sales, a lot of the time managers will try to justify their positions by adding unnecessary headcount to give the appearance that they're working on a big project or things are growing. Now, again, I know I'm trying to word this in the most appropriate way possible. It's not all cases, but I've seen it, right? In my previous company, there was people doing that blatantly. It's sort of like if you're adding headcount and seeming busy, the higher ups are going to leave you alone. So just watch out for that, I'd say. Hey, Andre Almor says, Tom, do you take your beagle with you when you go to Miami? I don't, but I think as he's getting older, I think he would enjoy that, right? Dogs tend to have very bad joints when they're older, and I think the Miami warmth would help a lot with that, I think. Yeah, Fabio says the days of Hanukkah are coming. It starts on the 16th, I think. Yeah, happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish viewers. Hopefully you have a wonderful holiday and a very, very happy Hanukkah. Wishing you much peace and prosperity during this Hanukkah season. Evan Weeks says, I'm a software architect / lead dev myself. My job is almost always safe when the axes come, yeah, because the value I add is obvious. I've watched middle management just above me get hit often. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the same thing. I mean, you're not wrong, right? You're right. It's good context there. All right, I'm gonna take you guys in the Grand Central Station, all but selfishly, mainly because it's freezing out. Yeah. All right, here we are. Oh my gosh, my hands are freezing. What's next is that's correct. Managers build headcount to assist them with the next promotion. And look, I don't want to say that happens all the time, but I've seen it. We've all worked in corporate America here, right? I mean, maybe there's a couple ultra successful rogue entrepreneurs that have never worked in corporate America, but I think we all have experience. We're all adults here. We understand the corporate bureaucracy nonsense at times. Wow, the architecture here in Grand Central is absolutely gorgeous. I never get tired of looking at it. I know Giovanni says you got to stream with gloves on. For some reason, it's worse when you stream with gloves on. I'm not sure why. I think the cold air gets trapped in the gloves. That may sound like nonsense, but for some reason, it's true for me. This is my favorite thing about Grand Central Station. Look at the chandeliers here. Very unique, very beautiful. Vinny Castellano is here. Good to see you, Vinny. Welcome.
I verified your info on the left.
Ben Robinson says you're seeing it as well. Silversmith says, walks from Wall Street. Do you know about the secret wall in Grand Central? Yeah, so Silversmith, that's we'll actually walk past it. Now, I think it's called the Whisper Wall, right? It's down in the dining concourse, but for some reason, every time we walk down the stairs, the stream cuts out. So we're gonna have to go down the ramp, but I'll show you guys. Now, I think since we have a lot of new people here, I'll show you the most obvious tourist thing that pretty much everybody knows, but maybe some of you don't. If you're standing in Grand Central Station and you're looking towards the Campbell Bar, which I would highly recommend going, look to the top left-hand corner right here, and you'll notice this little black dot. Okay, now we're gonna zoom in on it. Yo, Bagels and Walks, what's up? Bagels and Walks, good to see you, my friend. You see that little black patch? They left that there because that is what the ceiling used to look like before they cleaned it. Because back in the day, you were actually allowed to smoke here. So that is all the tar and the nastiness. But yeah, just thought I'd show you guys that. Wow, Diamond Girl says, I just retired from Xerox, 34 years, 57 years old. Congratulations on your success. Congratulations on your retirement. Huge accomplishment. You deserve it. Diamond Girl, it's fantastic. Now, you know what my favorite Xerox story is? My favorite Xerox story comes out of Howard Schultz's book, one of his first books. Howard Schultz actually got his start as a salesman for Xerox. Door-to-door, business-to-business sales. But that's awesome. Congratulations on your retirement. you've definitely earned it after a very long and successful career. Hopefully you're going to be spending it someplace warm, if you like that, if you like the warmth. All right, we'll take one lap. We'll head to the downstairs. Hey, Robert Parker. What's up, Robert? I don't know. I think they did leave the black spot on purpose. This is a reminder of what it used to look like. This is a very good bakery, very famous New York bakery. It's been in New York City since 1927. And they have amazing black and white cookies. So if you ever come here, you got to get one of these, the traditional black and white. Hey, Monica is here. It's his first time on here. Good to see you, Monica. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Walks on Wall Street. Hey, Vinny Castellanos says, Tom, I finished chapter 3 in my book today. Love that. Michael Joseph says that they still have restaurants down here. They do. Now, the Oyster Bar, I think, may have reopened after COVID. We'll have a look. But I'll give you another shot at the chandeliers here. Marcy, what's up? Says, I've never taken a train into Grand Central. I've only taken it maybe a handful of times. Because with me, I'm a Long Islander, right? So the LIRR does not go to Grand Central, but it soon will, allegedly, the East Side Access Project. But I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Now, this is the Whisper Wall that Silversmith was talking about. Now, if you stand on one side, right here, let's say if you stand in the corner and you have a friend standing on the other side, and you say something, it'll travel across the ceiling and you'll be able to hear it perfectly. This is the Oyster Bar. All right, so we are gonna head up and out here. Now, starting next week, I think we're gonna hold this off to next week. But starting next week, we are really going to drill down here into how we could use the corporate bond market as a leading indicator. I am going to be showcasing a couple tickers that we could watch, both AAA rated corporate bonds all the way down to junk bonds. And as we've reviewed pretty consistently on the stream, we've reviewed the government bond market as it relates to treasuries, and corporate bonds are priced via a spread over the benchmark, right? That 10-year US Treasury yield. And depending on the credit worthiness of the company, the spread over the 10-year will be wider or narrower depending on the credit worthiness. So usually as you get into the junk bond territory, it's going to have a big spread, right? High yielding debt, the junk bonds. Now, CCC bonds are what you call the junkiest of the junk, or the dog, you know what. And as you chart the yields across investment grade debt and non-investment grade debt, you can get a good gauge into the health of forward-looking corporate earnings. So we will start that on Monday. It's been a bit of a crazy week, and I think it's going to involve a lot of visuals. So I'm going to need to get some decks together for you guys to show. I'll take you to the upper level. I'm not sure we've ever been to the upper level before. We are officially in the MetLife building. You know what? I think they lit the tree in Bryant Park. Let's have a look about. Now, last night we were all the way down on Wall Street. They did the tree lighting ceremony tonight. So maybe tomorrow night on the stream, we'll go down to Wall Street again to see the tree lit up outside the New York Stock Exchange. Darren is here, says what's up from Indiana. Good to see you, Darren. Thanks for joining tonight. Check out how big this wreath is here. Hey, Soulful Contents says hello from Pakistan. Good to see all of our Pakistani viewers. Hopefully you guys are well. All right, you guys ready to bundle up here? You know, I think one of the reasons why I'm also freezing tonight is because I finally got my haircut after, my God, who knows how long. I was walking around like looking like a college lacrosse player. 0 out of 10 on that. Super unprofessional. But now we're back in the game. Hey, Ann. Says I'm a newbie. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, Ann. Welcome to New York and welcome to Walks on Wall Street. Thank you so much. All right, so here's what we are going to do. I want to show you guys the Yale Club, which is coming up on your left-hand corner. Right here. Sometimes Jeff Bezos visits here, frequents here. Yeah, Dusty calls his mullets are back. Yeah, my hair was so long. It was like to the length of like Gordon Gekko. Not a good look. So here's the Yale Club. Fantastic. But we are going to go all the way down to Bryant Park. Ooh, I'm losing track of time. We've already been streaming for an hour and a half. I said it would be a short stream tonight. It's a good question. 8W says hi, Chatters and Tom. Question, do they keep the tree at Rockefeller Center lit from dusk till dawn? You know, I'm actually not too sure about that. It's a good question. I have always just noticed it being lit. Does anybody know if they ever turn off the lights? Like, let's say if it's after midnight? I don't think so, right? Usually photos from around New York, if he's here, he usually bails us out on those questions. Yeah, Brad's brain. What's up, Brad? Says 2 things you can count on. Tom making fun of lacrosse players, and Tom excessively positive about everything. That's true. I tend to be a raging optimist to the point where oftentimes I could even piss off some of my coworkers around me, just how much of a raging optimist I can be. Can't help it. I do tend to take my fair share of shots at lacrosse players, mainly because I was never any good at lacrosse. And I played soccer. but Brad's brain, I saw your comment about the mining. I'm in the process of getting the PDF and I'm going to send it to you. Just don't share it. From a company called Blockworks. Hey, Ryan Beck says, evening all, Tom Fredex, Dusty Cole, and Gary Carpenter. Welcome, welcome. Beautiful shot here of the Chrysler building. Jamie Massa, yeah, it says, Tom, it's football, not soccer. You know, speaking of soccer, great games tonight, or today. Now, Mexico, even though they won their game, they're not moving on, right? I think because Saudi Arabia scored, they don't move on. Is that correct? Hey, Elliott Wave Reviews says, Tom, do you think every American bank would suffer an FTX-like scenario if they weren't protected by the government and the Fed? Well, I think just the FTX scenario is like an outright fraud, right? So I think the reason why FTX blew up is because they were taking customer funds and speculating in the market with it, right? Which is a big, big no-no. So maybe there's just some inconsistencies there. Oh, Steve 12 says eliminated off of the goal differential. That's too bad because I really like watching the Mexican national team play. I really, really like watching the Mexican national team play. Even though there's a huge rivalry between US and Mexico, it's just such a fantastic squad they have, especially Ochoa, the goalkeeper, who made some amazing saves this World Cup, by the way. I mean, talk about a performance. Javier T says they needed Argentina to score one more goal. Yeah, Messi missed that penalty kick today. But Argentina won handedly. Hey, Patricia Ivory says, hello, Tom, and everybody. Good to see you, Patricia. Welcome to the big city. Welcome to the big show. Fun Feed says, wasn't the Rockefeller tree lighting wonderful? I don't think we get to see it tonight. We tried. The crowds were so crazy. I just don't think it was possible to get through. But I'll probably watch the replay on YouTube when I get on the train here. Hey, touring different cities. Good to see you. We're touring different places. Welcome. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami, Florida. If you direct your attention to this big green building, this is the Salesforce Tower. And Salesforce had their co-CEO step down today. Brett Taylor will no longer be co-CEO. Starting January 31st, 2023. Now, EPS came in higher than Wall Street expectations, about $1.40 of EPS on revenue of $7.48 billion. Overall, an okay report, but as some of the chatters noted earlier in the stream, one of the big takeaways from the conference call is that deal flow or deal sales cycle tends to be a little bit elongated, and I can confirm that. It seems as if a lot of these bigger deals, enterprise deals, are taking longer to close, obviously due to the uncertainty in the macro environment. Javier T says, can't wait for the next World Cup. I think there's actually supposed to be a couple games in Miami too. Maybe we'll have to live stream a game at the stadium. Hopefully that wouldn't get the channel taken down. Fabio says, Tom, I saw your newsletters are by review. See when you can about Pingback. They have a really cool newsletter system. Well, here's what I think I'm going to have to do, Fabio, unfortunately. Now, I've been having some problems with review, and I may need to migrate the newsletter over to Substack. But I'm working on it because I'm trying to build a schedule. I'm building a schedule for the stream, for the standalone videos. As well as the newsletter, which should be up shortly. That is the very famous ball that they dropped on New Year's Eve. Hey, Zozo Bob says Miami World Cup will be in 2026. Elliot Wave Review, I saw that too. So Tunisia beat France 1-0, but they still didn't make it to the knockout rounds. Yeah, this World Cup has been filled with upsets. I'm just happy the United States is moving on. That's all I could say. I'm happy that we're moving on. After not qualifying for the World Cup, finally moving on. I mean, that's big. It's big for us. Also tying England, that's a W in my book, right? I think all of us Americans in the chat could agree with that. Right, I mean, we hold England scoreless in a World Cup. That's big for the United States. I know Ben Robinson's Australia won last night too. Big deal for us. I saw that. All right, so this is Brian Moynihan's office tower. Bank of America Tower right here, 42nd Street. Ed T says Netherlands are ranked 8th in the world. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Here's my take on the Netherlands as opposed to how the United States tend to play. So Netherlands tend to play very, very similar to like Spain, right? And Spain is they play soccer how it's supposed to be played, in my opinion. Everything is very, very crisp, 1-2 touch. You'll notice if you analyze the film of the Spanish national team, they always tend to play in triangles, right? Sort of like how Barcelona plays. And they tend to play like 1-2 touch around these triangles. And they maintain possession and exhaust the opposing team, right? Because if you're chasing the entire game, I've played in soccer games where, you know, in our preseason games, sometimes we would play semi-professional soccer teams, right, in preseason. And, I mean, my gosh, it's exhausting. You could literally be chasing the entire game. And the United States doesn't play like that at all, right? We tend to be, I like to call it like bull in the china shop. We're a little bit more physical, more aggressive team. So if we can get the Netherlands on counterattacks, if we could just sit in the back, load everybody in the box, sort of like how Iran was playing in the first half, and then we can get them on these big counterattacks, You know, maybe get the ball to Christian Pulisic on a big break, something like that. I think we may pull an upset. Who knows? This is the Bank of China. Username for fonts is what's up, everybody from Riverside, California. Good to see all of our viewers from Cali. Javier T. Yes. This is Spain coach, who's the former Barcelona coach. Out and about, good to see you. Out and about is our moderator from Toronto. I see Love is Kind in the chat. Michael Joseph. I used to be a center midfielder, but then it's funny, in college I actually used to play left back. Talk about a ridiculous, crazy transition there. We have this big Penske rental truck stuck here. Ooh! He almost fishtailed that guy. Hey, US Soccer Talk, what's up? Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man, for the game. I'm excited. I think we could pull the upset. Now, I know there's some drama about Gio Reyna not playing. Now, Gio Reyna is the son of Claudio Reyna, which used to be one of my favorite soccer players back in the day, as well as Kobe Jones, all those original U.S. men's national team players. But I think he may not be fit, right? I think he's coming off of an injury, and I just don't think he may be fit. So maybe he can come off the bench, perhaps. We'll see. Yeah, Matt M says USA men's team is the youngest in history. I think it is the second youngest team in history, right? I think the average age is what, 21, 22? Sam is here, good to see you. Hey, Dan Zanks, Tom, you know the reason Japanese soccer took off in the 90s was they copied the Brazilian system. It worked instantly. I did not know that. Hey, John Lee says, Tom, what was your reaction to Fed Powell's speech today? Yeah, I think we could cover that really quick again as we come up to the end of the stream. I think it wasn't anything it wasn't anything that we didn't already know, right? Now, I think the markets got really giddy when Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that we're going to ease up on the size of the rate hikes, right? So December is pretty much a lock. So December 13th to the 14th is the next FOMC meeting, and it's pretty much a lock that we're going to get a 50 basis point rate hike. But if you've noticed, during his speech, he said we have a long way to go, and we are going to continue to raise rates until we get the job done. So look, I think and we talked about this at the beginning of the stream. a lot of assets still. This is just to give you guys some context for just how bad it was raining today. It was raining all day. I mean, it was a miserable day in New York. It was horrible. Now, assets need to be repriced for the new interest rate environment that we are in, right? We're coming off of 14 consecutive years of ZIRP, or zero interest rate policy, right? And a lot of these tech companies, and I would say zombie companies, their business models only worked when interest rates were low, right? Because they would constantly borrow money in perpetuity to service their existing debt. So a lot of these companies, they're going to be repriced. They are being repriced. And if the Federal Reserve holds interest rates, let's say the Fed funds rate gets to 6%, right? Let's say the Fed funds gets to 6%. Even if we stop raising rates, I think the market is still going to need to reprice for a more normalized interest rate environment. But look, markets had a good day. It's probably another follow-through day. I'll have to look at the volume indicators there. So I think we just need to trend follow. All right, this is one of my favorite views of all time. Right here, walking down Broadway. An amazing shot of the Empire State Building. What do you guys think? I think this is a 10 out of 10 on this one right here. Hey, Sarah is here. Says, I love New York City. Good to see you. Sarah. Edward O., thank you for joining. I mean, I've always said, right, if you really want to bring down inflation, it's not necessarily the rate hikes, right? What's going to bring down inflation is contracting the money supply. And, well, I'll let you guys do a little bit of homework. Look at a chart of the M2 money supply, right? Now, I think that interest rates need to normalize, right? I do not agree with an environment of artificially suppressed rates. Now, the Fed suppresses rates artificially in a couple of ways, right? Obviously, by expanding their balance sheet. You know, we talk about the Fed buying U.S. Treasuries. And if you think about the correlation between rates and bond prices, it's an inverse correlation, right? So if you have the Federal Reserve constantly buying the short end of the curve, that's going to suppress yields. Hold on one second, guys. I got to put you down on the table. Watch out for the rats, all the creepy critters. I got to plug in the external battery. Give me 1 minute. I'll give you guys a nice view of the windows here at Macy's. All right, we are good. Hey, have a sunny day. This is Flo from Tampa, Florida. Love Tampa. I will be back in Miami, Florida pretty soon, maybe in about a week. This is outside of the very famous Macy's here at Herald Square. Fun Feeds, thank you for joining. Since we have a lot of new people in the chat, I think we'll do our rounds of looking at the windows just to give everybody a little bit of a look at it. Joseph Hardaway says retail is laying off. You know, speaking of layoffs, one of my best friends just got laid off today. He called me. He's in the real estate business. The Ralph, good to see you. Look at this one. I think you guys are gonna like this one. Ooh, I think this one's my favorite. I think these even may be real. Yeah, Vivian, it's such a horrible feeling. Yeah, it's tough, man. My friend would do underwriting. He was an underwriter, and obviously, you know, we've been covering the real estate market on the stream here almost ad nauseum. And look, I mean, if you have an environment where rates, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is near 7%, I mean, that's going to kill demand. We've been seeing existing home sales fall off a cliff and crater.
Everybody heard that. It's silent. It was just like, oh!
But look, you know, sometimes, you know, not to be too much of an aggressive optimist, sometimes the best or the biggest breaks in your life come after the most sort of abrupt and tragic events. Has anybody ever noticed that? Right? So let's say if you know, get laid off or something like that. Let's say if you lose your job, or even if you get fired, it sort of puts your back up against the wall and it forces you to be creative. Especially when you're young, right? I think that the moment, at least for me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but the moment that I feel myself getting too comfortable in a specific position, I always try to either move up the ladder or try a new challenge where you have higher income potential or whatever your goals are, right? And sometimes life has a very interesting way of giving you what you want in a way that's going to cause you near-term pain, right? Life is very strange in that regard. So, I mean, this could be the best thing that ever happened to him, right? It could be a blessing. I think I've made the biggest strides in my career when my back was up against the wall, and it's sort of like, if you don't perform, it's just, you're done. And, you know, to look on the bright side of things, a lot of people are getting laid off, but I think it's going to light a fire under a lot of people. And I would bet in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe you're watching this, you got laid off. I think you're probably gonna look back and you're like, holy crap, this was the biggest blessing I've ever gotten. I'm so glad my boss fired me because I went on to create this business. I went on to get a job here with a higher base salary, right? With a better work-life balance. You never know. You never know. You just got to keep moving the ball down the line, right? Move the ball downfield. It doesn't have to be a Hail Mary, right? You don't have to be a Tom Brady gunning the ball down the field, right? Just a yard a day, right? But just keep trucking down the field, my friends. Yeah, Bree says every time I left a job, I've wound up at a better one the next time. It's true. Yeah, Jay says often people don't realize the good times as they happen. Ooh, it is freezing cold. The wind is horrible. Adrian is here. Good to see you, my friend. Oh, this is the Black Panther movie. I don't even remember the last time I saw a movie. But yeah, Joseph, you're right. It does. I mean, look, getting laid off is horrible. It's absolutely horrible, especially, you know, later in your career. But you never know. I mean, look, I mean, if you have sort of a positive outlook on it, even though it's horrible and it sucks, you never know. Maybe that was what you needed to get a better position with more responsibility, a higher target comp. Who knows? Who knows? Anything's possible. It's a very, very strange world. Hey, Diamond Girl says, oh yes, I never saw it coming to retire. You're right. I want my own business. This is a grand blessing. They would have kept so much money from the gap rate. 48 of us left, says Diamond Girl. And you were at Xerox, right? If I remember correctly. You said you just retired from Xerox. Hey, Jason Francis, good to see you. All right, team, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something out of character here. I'm gonna take you guys into the underworld. Okay, Penn Station. Now hold on to your hats. Because I think the internet may go out, but I want to show you guys the remodeling. Hey, Elliot Wave Reviews. Tom, I got fired 20 years ago and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, career-wise, as I was able to double my income in the next job. See, there we go, man. There we go. You just got to keep pushing forward. And sometimes life is like that. Life will throw you a curveball, and you know, life is like, look, you know, I'm throwing you out of this job because if you stay at this job, you're never going to advance, right? It's a good point. Hey, the last about, or the last Autobot says your optimism is appreciated. Thank you for the walk. Thank you so much. Notice the transition here. I mean, talk about an unbelievable transformation from the old doldrums of Penn Station, the darkness, the depression, the misery, to a new and improved, beautiful Penn Station with the roof and the ceiling lifted, the natural light coming in, I think they did a fantastic job. 2 thumbs up to the city of New York for this. For some context here, you see this steel I-beam. This is how low the ceiling used to be. It used to be horrible. It used to smell like, use your imagination. And now it's beautiful. This is an absolutely beautiful train station. The city did a fantastic job. What do you guys think? I'm being serious, by the way, too, because I've lived in this station pretty much my entire life. You know how many times I've taken the LIRR? And to see a new, beautiful train station, I appreciate it very much. I think they did a really, really good job. They lifted all the ceilings. It's nice and clean in here. I think the city did a good job. Now, if you notice over here, this is actually going to be extended more to the left. And you're going to have different shops, like Walgreens is going to be here. Dos Toros. Not a huge fan of the Dos Toros, but maybe we'll give it a try in Penn Station. I know, Ed T's his big improvement, isn't it? Like a really, really big improvement. All right, I got to get the train, but I want to give you guys a view of what it looks like to go up to the city on the escalators. All right, team, I do have to cut it short tonight. We are coming up right on the 2-hour mark, but I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I really, really do appreciate it. Even though it was a little bit of a hectic stream with all the crowds, I want to wish you all a very happy Wednesday. Let's finish the week strong. Tomorrow is Thursday. We are in the tail end of the week. Always remember to stay irrationally optimistic. Aggressively pursue whatever it is you want to pursue, and wake up every day with the desire to breathe fire as required. And we'll meet back here tomorrow at 8:30. How does that sound? Zozo Bob, thank you so much. Bree Grams, out and about. Joan K. Austin City Limits. Abdullah, Muhammad, Optimus 17, Adrian. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow, 8:30. Alexis Garcia, Joe Driver, What's Next, GG NYC, Kevin Ramsey, Love is Kind, and Charlie Richardson, ATC. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Bye.